Nintendo.
And I'm Sega. This is Console Wars! Alright, everyone, listen up. We're taking over this airport. If you value your lives, just do what you're told. Terrorists? Not on my watch. Eat this. What the? Looks like his departure was on time. Hey, freeze! Don't mind me. I'm just checking my bag. Wah! Come on, we're gonna stop him! Well, looks like it's time for me to line? What? Cut! It's time to fly! How hard is that to remember? Wow! I can't believe Pastrami's starting in Paul Blart 3, Sky Mall Security.
That was super nice of him to invite us down to the set.
I'm gonna be so rich and famous after this movie comes out, I can finally afford my dream. A swimming pool full of oils.
It's really cool being down here.
I'll say, they got this free food. Plus, I got some free rope.
Where'd you get that?
Oh, it was tied up to a wall for some reason. Can you believe it?
Who ate my pizza?
Okay, I'm okay. I dodged it last second. Good thing too, because that thing looks heavy. Man, I would not want to get hit by that thing. No siree. The director. Oh no, now this movie won't get made. Oh, my oil pool. I'll kill you too.
Uh-oh. Run. Take the pizza. Leave the rope.
Man, that was close. I've never seen Pastrami so mad before.
That's because we ruined his movie.
Oh, that director's gonna be in the hospital for months.
If he survives.
What?
Nothing.
Ruining somebody's big Hollywood break. You know, that reminds me of something.
Any chance that thing is Pink Panther goes to Hollywood?
Wow, yes, exactly. I mean, it's the same as the plot. Man, I used to play that game all the time. You know, for the Sega Genesis.
Yeah, but it was better for the Super Nintendo.
What? That's it! Are we doing this?
Is the first solid proof of beer production from the period of the Sumerians, around 4000 BCE, due to an archaeological excavation in Mesopotamia, where a tablet was discovered that showed villagers drinking a beverage from a bowl with straws? Yes.
Best Pink Panther goes to Hollywood.
Pink Panther Goes to Hollywood is a 1993 platformer. Games were published only for the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis by Tech Magic. Even though both games had the same publisher, they had completely different developers.
The Super Nintendo game was developed by Manley & Associates. The Sega Genesis version was developed by Head Games. Different developers gave us two very different games. Which one's better? Let's find out.
Graphically, these games are similar.
Similar, not identical.
The main character, the Pink Panther, looks the same in both games. Has the same character animations too. There are a few enemies that look the same as well. Not quite identical, but similar. Some enemy designs are very different. And in some levels, the enemies look completely different. Overall, the characters in both games fit the Pink Panther aesthetic well.
Let's look at the levels now. Even though they look similar and have the same names, they're all different in terms of layout. They're all based on movies. There's Honey, I Shrunk the Pink, Refrigerator, Stuffing Battle, Pink Lemonade, Pinkenhood, Cat on a Hot Pink Roof, Pink Beard, Jungle Pink, Pink Ranger, not that one, Pink Ranger, Polter Pink, and Pinkenstein.
Overall, I'd say both games pretty much have the same look.
Except mine's better. Mine's got more details.
Let's talk about the backgrounds. In Polter Pink on Super Nintendo, you have these cool pictures of random horror-themed characters. They're not actually in the game, they're just fun to look at. There are no cool pictures like that on Sega. Look at Stuffing Battle on Super Nintendo. Very colorful with lots of various foods in the background. Now look at it on Sega. It's incredibly dull with a very plain background. Now to Honey, I Shrunk the Pink. Check out Inspector Clouseau. On Sega, no Clouseau.
No way. I think my backgrounds are better.
Check out the moving clouds in the Sega level. On Super Nintendo, static. Check out the moving cows on this Sega level. That's totally normal. On Super Nintendo, they don't move. Check out the parallax scrolling with the stars on this Sega level. On Super Nintendo, no parallax scrolling. Check out the way the water manipulates the background of this Sega level. Really makes it feel like you're underwater. On Super Nintendo, nothing in the background is manipulated.
At the very least, both of our backgrounds have unique details.
That's fair, but I think I still got you beat. Let's look at the Pink Panther.
Both Panthers look almost identical, except you'll notice the Pink Panther on Super Nintendo wears a hat. And it's not always the same hat. It changes based on level. Pirate hat for Pinkbeard, cowboy hat for Pink Ranger, and so on. Boring old Sega game? No hats.
A hat? When did that ever make anything better? Well played.
It's not much, but my game has a slight edge.
For having unique details in the background, and for having exclusive hats that fit the aesthetic of each level, best graphics go to Super Nintendo!
Presentation for both games is simple.
Both games have the same intros, same title screens, similar endings, and game over screens.
Whoa! Let's talk about the endings again.
The endings are very different. The Super Nintendo game gives you this Hollywood premiere. Your long stretch limos arriving with the credits on the marquee. Pink Panther eventually arrives with Inspector Clouseau driving. Then, you win an Oscar and you see your box office, which is your final score. It's not much, but it's a lot more than Sega. What happens there? Game over. A star is born. Then credits. That's it. That's the whole ending. Not one picture. All that work for nothing. It doesn't even follow the theme of renaming famous movies with the word pink. A Star is Born? Super Nintendo got it right with A Star is Pink.
Okay, the ending's a little scarce on Sega, but my game does do some things good.
When you die on Sega, you see the old cartoon cane pulling you off stage. It follows that movie motif. You don't have that on Super Nintendo. Also, when you pause on Sega, you see a movie clapboard. On Super Nintendo, you just see the word pause. More of that movie motif on Sega.
Oh, you like the Hollywood motif? Check out the rest of my presentation. Whenever you start a level on Super Nintendo, you get Clouseau with a clapboard telling you the name of the level. How's that for Hollywood? Sega just has the name of the level next to the door that takes you there. Not as impressive. Every time you beat a level on Super Nintendo, you get a score tally. It looks like it's on film. There's people in a theater. More Hollywood motif. On Sega, no score tally at all. Just on with the show.
Even the HUD on Super Nintendo's better.
Both games have tokens. On Super Nintendo, you see your token the whole time you have it. There they are. Nice and clear. On Sega, no tokens on the HUD. They only show up once you reach the toll booth. If you missed a token, you have no way of knowing until you reach the toll booth. Then you gotta go back and find it.
There's no denying my presentation's better.
For having a much better ending, more Hollywood motif, and seeing all your tokens in the HUD, best presentation goes to Super Nintendo!
Let's talk some sound.
The music and sound effects in both games are credited to New Romantic, Mark Steven Miller, and Ted Allen.
Jason Scheer also gets credited, but only in the Sega game. And both games have all the same songs.
Every song is a variation of the Pink Panther theme that fits with the theme of the level.
Very similar.
Mine sounds more like the show.
Yeah, but my music's still pretty good.
Okay, how's about the fact that I have more songs than you?
The Super Nintendo has this exclusive song for the fridge. There's also this song for when you get a game over. And there's also a song that plays at the ending.
Yeah, but the fridge theme is boring, and your ending isn't even 20 seconds long.
Game over song?
Yeah, that's pretty good, it's pretty good. But my music does something that yours doesn't.
Neither game has a theme for boss battles, but the Sega game does speed up the music once you reach one. It raises the tension nicely. On Super Nintendo, the music doesn't change when you reach a boss.
Well, my sound is better because yours is missing sound effects.
On Sega, there's no sound effect when you swim. There is on Super Nintendo.
Really? Swimming? I got a bunch of sound effects you're missing too.
Listen to this thunder on Sega. On Super Nintendo, no thunder. On Sega, you hear this bird. On Super Nintendo, silent. On Sega, there's a sound effect for going in and out of the water. On Super Nintendo, again, silence.
But your game's missing songs and sound effects.
So is yours.
Does this mean tie?
The Super Nintendo game has more songs,
And the Sega game plays faster music for boss battles.
and both games are missing sound effects.
Best sound is a tie.
Lots of differences with the gameplay.
And there are some similarities.
Both games are basic platformers. You have one button to jump, one button to attack, and you can run.
There are items that can change the environment to allow access to hard-to-reach areas, things like bridges or stairs. They're called tokens on Super Nintendo and toll cards on Sega. They can be used only at toll gates on Super Nintendo or toll booths on Sega. Even though they have different names and even look different, they have the same function in both games.
There are other items known as tricks. They're just various weapons. And one of them lets you freeze enemies.
To get to each level, you navigate through Honey, I Shrunk the Pink, which is essentially a hub. You can pretty much access any level at any time. It doesn't matter the order.
The objective is simple. Just get to the end of the level. Sometimes there's a boss, which is usually a version of Inspector Clouseau. And once you beat every level, the game is done.
No password or save, so you gotta beat it in one shot. Not too hard since they're relatively short games. No checkpoints either. Dying brings you back to the beginning of the stage. But you get lots of lives and continues.
Many similarities.
But lots of differences.
One of the main differences is attacking. On Super Nintendo, the main attack is poison gas. On Sega, it's one of those boxing glove guns. No idea why they made the main attacks different.
Again, the layout of the levels is completely different, making each version a truly unique experience. Also, on Super Nintendo, Polter Pink and Pinkenstein are only available after you beat every other level. On Sega, you can access any level at any time.
There's still a lot more differences.
And a bunch that make my game better.
First off, the score. On Super Nintendo, after you get enough points, you get a 1-up. On Sega, the points are pointless. They don't give you more lives, there's not even a scoreboard.
One of my controls is better too.
Running is also different in both games. You hold a button to run on Super Nintendo, you double tap the D-pad on Sega. This can be dangerous. If you're edging forward, you might accidentally double tap and end up running off a platform. No risk of doing that on Super Nintendo since run is its own button.
I also have a level you don't.
The Super Nintendo has a Pink Chill level, exclusive to the Super Nintendo. Also, the Super Nintendo game has bonus levels full of items. Don't have that on Sega. Instead, Sega has these sound stages. They're areas between the central hub and the level. The goal here is to avoid enemies and just get to the actual level. You don't get anything from it. Take damage, don't take damage, doesn't matter. You get full life once you reach the level anyways. They're just a waste of time.
My gameplay's just better.
For having scores that...
Whoa, hold on. Are you serious? I didn't even talk about my game yet, because my game is so much better.
You think so?
Do I think so? Yeah, I think so, because my game isn't frustratingly hard like yours is.
Let's talk about the life bars. On Sega, you have a typical life bar. When you get hit, it goes down. When you get life, it goes up. Simple. On Super Nintendo, no life bar. Instead, you have your dumb hats. Here's how it works. Once you get hit, you lose a hat. If you get hit again, you're dead. That's right, you can only take 2 hits on Super Nintendo, and then you die. 2 hits? That's ridiculous. Granted, there are more hats in each level that allow you to take an extra hit, but there's only like 2 or 3 tops. Bottom line, you are going to die in the Super Nintendo game. Die a lot. Die a ridiculous amount. Die a ludicrous amount.
The difficulty really limits the Super Nintendo game.
You won't want to run on Super Nintendo. It's too dangerous. You'll find yourself cautiously tapping the D-pad to walk slowly. But you can't take too much time since the Super Nintendo game is timed. And you can't replenish the clock either. But don't run.
Walk slowly.
So like you might die sometimes.
Sometimes it's all you do in your game.
Even if you go super slow, you'll still die on Super Nintendo since attacks come from any direction. This really tests your patience. You can even lose lives in the bonus levels. What kind of a sick joke is that? This game is incredibly hard. How hard? Even the demos in the beginning can't last very long. It's really pathetic. The manual says, each demo shows a special piece of stage business. That's nonsense. All it really shows you is that you're gonna die. On Sega, you can take many hits. There's lots of health around to replenish the life bar, and you're not timed.
Yeah, but that just makes your game so basic.
Yeah, I'll take basic over absurdly hard, and there's other ways that my gameplay is better. For one, the boss battles.
The Sega game has some boss battles, and they happen the way you'd expect. The screen is fixed to a certain area, so you can't leave. You learn an attack pattern, basic boss battle stuff. The Super Nintendo, on the other hand, doesn't really have boss battles. There are times when you fight Inspector Clouseau, but it doesn't feel like a boss battle. The screen is never fixed to one area, and there's barely any patterns you ever need to learn. Only the last fight at the very end feels like a boss battle because it has an actual pattern. And even that pattern is ridiculously easy. Everything else is kind of a joke.
Attacking's better in the Sega game too.
On Sega, you can use your main attack while jumping. On Super Nintendo, you can't. You can, however, jump on enemies in Super Nintendo, but that'll put you at risk of taking a hit. Also on Sega, you can use your weapon while swimming. On Super Nintendo, you can't. You can bounce off the top of enemies like a lame jump, but again, you're putting yourself at risk. Plus, the Sega game has a power-up for the main weapon, an extender for your boxing glove gun. The Super Nintendo doesn't have any power-ups.
Sega game has even more.
The Sega game has temporary invincibility. The Super Nintendo doesn't. The Sega game has the ability to pan the camera down. Very helpful in a platformer. The Super Nintendo doesn't have that ability. So just jump and probably die. On Sega, you can drop down through platforms. On Super Nintendo, you can't.
I don't even think it's close when it comes to gameplay.
For having actual boss fights, better attacking, having more items, more abilities, but most importantly, not dying after 2 hits, which was a terrible decision for this type of game, best gameplay goes to Sega Genesis. Both games are based on the same property, but one is better, and that game is Pink Panther Goes to Hollywood for the Sega Genesis. It may not have as many background details as Super Nintendo, or a unique hat for each level, but it still looks fine. It is lacking in the presentation department though, especially during that ending. The sound is fine though, with good variations of the Pink Panther theme. And it does have better gameplay for actual boss battles, better attacking, more features, and not dying in 2 hits. Honestly, both games are kinda bad. Pretty bad. They're bad. This is definitely a case of a game winning for being the lesser of 2 evils. 2 hits and dead is garbage. It may work for ghouls and ghosts, but this is a very basic platformer and it is not designed nearly as well as that series. Dying after 2 hits makes this one of the most frustrating games out there. The only reason to ever play the Super Nintendo version is just to see how different it is from the Sega Genesis game. No other reason. Neither game is great, but if you have to get your Pink Panther fix in 16 bits, definitely avoid the Super Nintendo game. Best Pink Panther Goes to Hollywood goes to Sega Genesis. Well, what do we do now?
You wanna go back to the movie set?
Sure. Wow. Why did we leave again?
Hey, what are you two doing here?
All right, we ruined his movie career.
Has he just been here the whole time?
I'll kill you!
I think we gotta run.
No, wait, we gotta deal with this the same way the Pink Panther did.
He ran.
Right? But he ran through various movie sets.
Oh yeah. Let's go steal some movie magic.
Oh no, he's catching up.
Quick, over there, to the Marvel set.
Oh, great, I can't wait to see all the cool things. Huh.
Yeah, I guess I should have guessed it would have been all green screen.
You know, I thought there'd be at least some practical effects here.
Oh, what's this?
It's mine! You can keep the next dumb thing we find. Man, I bet this was Loki's knife. Ha-ha! Ha-ha! Oh, come on! Hey, can I, like, hold that?
No! Pastrami's coming!
Cheese it!
Man, he's fast for a puppy.
Hey, let's go over there to the Star Wars set.
Now you're talking.
Yep, should have known.
Man, and I thought Mandalorian was supposed to be a lot of practical effects. Guess not.
Yeah, I mean, not even the actors are practical. Look at that guy. Who's that? Baby Yoda?
You mean Grogu? Who is the size of a baby? Well, that is obviously a grown man. It's gotta be.
Cool.
Oh no, it's pastrami! Cheese it!
I don't know how much longer I can do this.
You're telling me. This shield's heavy. Let's go over there.
Oh nice! Shawshank Redemption 2? Get busy, dying?
I can't wait to see the inside of the prison. I can't believe they're doing Shawshank 2 in green screen. Why?
Maybe because they gotta, like, do that tunnel of poo again, but in CGI.
I guess. I mean, sequels always have to go bigger, so now it's probably like 10 football fields.
20. Aha! At last! I finally caught up to you! Now, where's your friend?
Friend? Where did he go?
Sorry. I know there's more complimentary food and I just couldn't help myself.
He's going to kill us! This isn't the time! Did you find anything else complimentary?
Well, yeah, I found this.
Huh, I didn't know they gave out complimentary rope. You know, that might be good with that oil thing that I'm into.
Man, can't believe you saved the day by getting us some rope.
Us? This is my rope. Who am I kidding? I got you one too, buddy.
Thanks. Wait a minute.
Thanks for checking out our latest video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Special thanks to XaviorTheLycan for his donation of the 2 games. Support us on Patreon for early releases, bonus content, and the Discord. Also follow our live channel, Console Wars Live. And be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for more Console Wars goodness. Later!
Okay, how's about the fact that I have more songs than you?
I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Good
You
boy.
never, you never do. I feel like we say this a lot. I feel like you never listen to me.